Hey everybody, and welcome to not WIP Wednesday. I was about to say WIP Wednesday. Sorry. Welcome to another finished Friday. I guess is what we're calling these for now. If unless like we have some stroke of genius and come up with a snappier name. But for now, we're doing another finished Friday. I'm Lizfaerie.
I'm Joey,
and we have some finished crochet pieces to show you today. Last time we did this, oh hey, Demon Lee's here. Hey Demon Lee,
hey,
nice to see you. We were a bit late today coming in. We were just generally running late today. I've been kind of tripping out on making a bunch of sewn pieces lately, and that's been taking up a lot of my time.
Right.
So that's just what I've been doing all day. So I kind of was just clearing all of that stuff off. You can still see a bunch of my fabric in the background,
right,
just sitting on the table there.
But most of it's been hidden.
But yeah, most of it is. Most of what I was working on is put away. So I might go into that on WIP Wednesday next week. And actually, before we begin, we should also mention that we're going to not be here for the WIP Wednesday for the week after next, because that's our off week.
Right.
Because
it's the first
Wednesday of the month. But the week after that, we may or may not be there. I'm not sure how much stuff I'm going to be able to get to, because that week we're actually going to be taking a vacation a little bit for a couple of days. So I'm not sure exactly how much I'll be able to get to. I'm actually probably going to try to work on a little bit of stuff just because, well, it's a long drive to where we're going. So I might just work on some stuff in the car. So I'll go into a little bit of that. And so that being said, let's continue on with our finished Friday work. I guess I should mention this
if you haven't noticed already
that I'm wearing. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you might have seen the photo, but I would like to show you guys a closer view of it. It's a broomstick lace choker, which is something that I just started to experiment with. This is like only my second or third ever broomstick lace piece, and I love broomstick lace.
I think it came out really nice.
It's just really hard to do, so I don't really do it very often. Because also the other thing that I don't like about broomstick lace, I guess, is it feels like knitting, and I don't like how that feels.
Right, juggling too many pieces.
Yeah, well, let me show you guys a closer view of my necklace that I've just finished, and I guess this is kind of a prototype for something that I might do on the channel eventually. But it has these little ties, so it's a tie-on choker, and I put this little pendant here hanging from the middle. It's funny, it just looks a little bit like a cat collar.
Yeah, right. Like it should be a little bell.
Yeah, it makes me think it should be a little bell, but it's not. It's just a little pendant. I think we just found this somewhere.
I know. I
don't remember how we got this, but I think this was just a found piece. It was just on the floor somewhere.
Because it's hollow. I feel like there almost should be a way to be able to have something.
It's really heavy, too. It's surprisingly heavy. I don't know what it's made of, but it's a really, really dense material.
Yeah.
And here is the broomstick lace. You can crochet all of these loops together if you want, but I just crocheted in each individual loop of the broomstick to kind of give it a much more lacy feel.
Galaxia Nova says good morning.
Hey, what's up, Galaxia?
Good morning.
Glad you could join us this morning. I'm sorry that we keep meeting like this.
I know, right?
Sorry if you're a bit sleepy. So,
getting up, we're winding down.
Yeah, because it's what is
it's
like?
Not that
it's
late
almost
right now.
It's almost 10. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this.
It looks really nice.
I have a couple of other experiments that I am working on for maybe potentially making a tutorial for something like this. But those I'll have to show you guys on WIP Wednesday because none of them are finished yet. Oh my god, thank you, Demon Lee. Yeah, I just cut it recently, so thank you. It gets long really, really fast. My hair grows ridiculously fast. I have to cut it like every couple weeks or so.
Very healthy hair.
I guess. Too healthy. It's taking all of my energy.
I know, right? Gotta cut it back. Show it who's boss.
So that's pretty cute. I want to make a couple of other different designs. I was thinking of doing some where I try to thread some beads onto the thread while I'm making it, so that the beads end up like in the middle here. Yeah. But I haven't actually tried anything like that. I almost think that that would be an interesting, like, almost maybe potential alternative to doing it over a stick, though. Is if I just do it on top of, like, on and put beads. A bead as like a spacer. Put a bead as a spacer instead of having to do it over a stick. Then, like, I could just crochet through the beads and then it would have a similar lacy look, but without having to have a stick to work around, and it would make me feel less like...
Because I think it would be good to have something to help space the fabric out, because I feel like it wants to collapse on itself a little bit.
Yeah,
as you're wearing it.
Yeah, well, that's because of how, like, the stretch is with this type of lace. If I had made it a little bigger, it wouldn't want to, like, stretch. Right. No,
I think with the size you managed with that one, you can still see the spacing pretty well while you're wearing it.
Yeah, I've been doing a couple of experiments, so a couple of them have been a little bit more crowded like that, like how you said. But this one came out pretty good. And then there's another one that I made that's like double broomstick lace. Like I did a second row of broomstick on top, so it's like double wide. It's a bit more of a chunky one. But I'll show you guys those on WIP Wednesday. So let's look at the older finished pieces that I still have to show you guys. Let me put my necklace back on. So I'm going to show you guys a bunch of my mermaids for the moment. And this mermaid tutorial has been on the channel for a while. I have two different mermaid tutorials, one of which uses puff stitches and one of which uses back loop stitches and then working on the loops after to make the scales. And that works a lot better. So I will show you a bunch of the different stages, I guess, of mermaid that I have, because I have so many mermaids here.
Yeah, you did kind of go on a mermaid frenzy.
And a lot of them are made in... It's because of the fact that I was making improvements on the design.
Right.
So.
No, I mean...
And here's the one that I actually made for the tutorial in the channel. So I guess I should show you her first. And then we can work our way back in time. The one everyone's most familiar with. Yeah. Well, I wonder if I still have that one. Because I had another one from the first ever tutorial. Oh yeah, here she is. So here's the first mermaid tutorial doll, and here is the most recent mermaid tutorial doll, and they do look very different from each other. Right. I don't think I did the hair for this doll on screen at all, like I just did it after, and the shirt I think I also just did after the fact. So so that I guess was never seen on the channel before. But I don't know, I think she came out pretty cute. Like I like her green, like almost seaweed looking hair.
Right.
So so they're two very different aesthetic mermaids. But the method that I used for doing the scales is very different, and you'll see that in a moment. Let me just put these other mermaids to the side because I just have a pile of mermaids here.
Right, let them swim off over there for a while.
All right, so let me switch. I'll show you the first one first.
Demonly says she's been meaning to take a dive into those because recently got into the Siren show. I don't think we've seen any of that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So this one has some nice seaweed green hair that's curled that I added on after I did the tutorial. But this one I did with puff stitches at the tail, and it has a really, really chunky tail. And I mean, that's partially because of the puff stitches, because they just have, that's the nature of puff stitches.
Right, they're puffed.
Hence the puff, yeah. But, oh, nice. Making jellyfish.
Yeah, jellyfish are cool.
Yeah, I want to make a jellyfish mermaid girl. That would be great.
And if you're making a bunch of things, I mean, that's the fun of it, altering it and making them, each one look a little bit different.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why all of these mermaids look completely different. So the other reason why this came out big was just because I made it too big. And the difference between the size of her waist and the size of her tail is so ridiculous.
She's being eaten by the tail.
It's just, it's a bit much. But, Can cover that up right there. Nice. Okay, now it looks a little bit...
It looks like it flows a bit better,
yeah,
actually.
It flows a little bit better with this particular shirt design because I left the back open and I just layered the front with some chunky... it's not really actually chunky thread. It just looks chunky on this scale.
Right.
But yeah, it's just regular worsted weight. But on a doll scale, it looks chunky. But yeah, I'd love to make a jellyfish mermaid girl. That'd be great. And I really want to make an octopus girl. Like, I want to make like Ursula.
Yeah, like an Ursula would be sick.
And it would be topical because the new Little Mermaid is going to come out eventually.
I know. I want to see what new Ursula is going to look like.
Oh, I want to see everything.
Excited.
I want to see it all. Okay, but anyway, let's get on with these mermaids.
I want to see what the people see.
Also, I like this widow's peak. That's kind of cute. Nice. But yeah, I think it looks pretty cute. This is when I used to make the eyes out of brads. I've since started making them out of yarn just because it's easier, although I do like that glossy aesthetic.
Right.
But I might play with trying to make the eyes the way that I've been making my traditional doll by turning it smooth and sanding it and all that.
Right.
To like make it have that safety eye aesthetic.
You know, this is just random, but I wonder if you could like inset the brads kind of like you do with the
I probably could. I would just need to do it like while I was making the face.
Yeah, no, it would just be a really small.
And it would be pretty easy to pull them off.
You would think.
Even so, like it would still be pretty easy to pull them out.
Yeah. Even if you inset them.
Yeah, I mean, like if you were determined to pull the eyes off person, you would be able to do that without any problems. As some very, very small people are, as in like children 5 years and under. And I love this tail design. I still haven't changed the tail design since I first made this set of dolls.
Right, yeah, I know
the tail is like one of the only things that I just did that way, and I never changed the design.
And Demon Lee says they have like 4 patterns lined up that they want to buy and try out for octopuses. Nice. Octopi.
Yeah, it's something that I would like to experiment with, just especially with my technique that I have for making leg holes and arm holes. I want to see how far I can take that. See if I can take it to the full octopus level. Because that's about probably as far as you'd want to take that.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if I want to make a centipede or anything.
But you could.
I don't want to do that. But, oh gosh, that'd be too much.
Don't want to get into the insects realm, make a bunch of insects?
That would be too much work. So let's compare the first mermaid to the last one. Actually, let me just move her aside for now.
Galaxia is excited for The Little Mermaid. It's their favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, that's my favorite. It's my favorite classic Disney movie that isn't. It's I guess it's my favorite Disney Renaissance movie. Because I guess my favorite classic Disney movie is The Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's pretty
But like I feel like that isn't like it's not the same as like it's not a Disney Renaissance movie, is it? Or is it? Or is it not the first Disney Renaissance movie?
Well, it's the favorite.
I guess that's debatable.
Disney princess movie, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it's not a Disney princess movie. We could say that. Let's say that. Okay, my favorite Disney princess movie then is probably The Little Mermaid, and also maybe Beauty and the Beast, and then there's also Mulan. Well,
it's hard to pick.
But I guess that when I was a little kid, my favorite one was The Little Mermaid.
Your formative favorite Disney movie was.
And then I guess also Mulan hadn't come out yet when I was little.
Exactly.
So it doesn't count. But yeah, so this one I actually have a tutorial for everything on here except for I guess I have a tutorial for the stars that I made the bra out of, but I did not make a tutorial for how I made the stars into the little bralette. It's pretty straightforward though. It's literally just chains that I made out of some silver thread. I just chained in between and on the sides and on the neckline. I think I did sew the stars down, but I didn't really need to. I could have just left it, but And then her braids I made out of a combination of, I think, 6 or 7 different colors. There's like violet, magenta, rose, and charcoal, I think. And baby pink. And another couple shades of purple thrown in. So pretty much this entire doll is something that you can make, I guess, because this is the doll that I made for my most recent mermaid tutorial.
Right. It's cute though.
And I didn't make the hair out of the same colors as the tail, but it looks very, very similar because I did try to color match the braids to the tail. And I love this yarn. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Pink Panther, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, I love this yarn. This is
Yeah,
a really cool variegated
the
yarn.
the
It's
bright
like a black
pink
light
with
kind
black.
of type aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I used
Pink and black is a good
basic,
contrast.
just purple orchid for the fins. It looks a lot more dull on the camera than it is in real life. It's a little more pink. But I think just because of how vibrant this is, it almost washes this out a little bit. But yeah, this is a little bit more of like a bright pink kind of color than it looks like on the camera. So yeah, this is my most recent mermaid, and this is my most old mermaid, and you can see the eyes are different.
I know, their eyes drifted apart quite a bit.
Yeah, I guess I did start doing that. I guess because I started doing this one, I didn't actually get around to doing it with, but I started to
the
sew
face quite yet. Yeah.
I started to sew the eyes together, but I just never got around to it on this doll. So that it would have a little bit more of a nose shape, where this one has a very flat shape. You can see there isn't really any depth at all.
Right. You weren't really.
Where with this one, once I actually
actually
sew down the bridge of the nose, it'll have a little bit more of like a little cute face shape. And I think that I will eventually, maybe potentially for this particular mermaid, maybe I will add a little bit more features to the face. Maybe just because this one is a little bit more of a recent doll. But these I'm probably just going to leave as is.
Right.
So let me look at, let's see what the other in-between mermaids are. Here's another recent one, so put that there. Here's an older one. This is an in-between one. This is an older one.
Here, no, hold on. These.
And this one...
The ones with jewelry.
This one's really cool, and I wish that I hadn't made it early on. Because it has that aesthetic of the older style, and I wish that I had made this one later just because it would have looked so cool. Right. But I just have to remake it now, I guess, from scratch and just make it differently. I want to make her with the way that I made Amethyst's hair instead of this horrifying mess of thread. But
it's a good thought. It just doesn't.
It came out really, really well for what it is. And also, this one is one of the first ones that I did do a little bit more experimentation with shaping the face and the body too. So this one is a bit more of a middle one. So let's put this one here. I'm just trying to pull all of these mermaids out so that we can have them in sequential order.
See the lineup really, but
not yet. Here's another one. This is a more recent one. And here's my Ariel, since we're talking about
I know,
that.
since Little Mermaid's on.
I should have sewn down her bra. It keeps falling off.
Oh my.
It falls off every single time I put her in the bag. But yeah, let me fix her hair a little bit because it's a bit of a mess. Again, like, I wish I had started making her earlier on. I just have to later on. I just have to make it again so that it looks nice. Yeah, but here's my Ariel. You can see that she's you can tell that it's Ariel even from this distance from the camera. Just because of the colors.
Right. Super iconic.
Yeah, I did a pretty good job with picking the colors, honestly. Even though this yarn didn't work very well for the hair, for the texture, it's like the perfect color. But red is pretty easy to get right. So let me move some of these out of the way. For now, you are not mermaids. I'm just gonna. For now, I'm just planning on showing just the mermaids, and if we have time, maybe we'll go on to something else, but probably just mermaids. Okay, so here's the older ones. Here's the middle one. Okay, so let's look at this Ariel one closer up. So you can see the hair is just made out of crochet thread.
And her top's already coming off.
Yeah, and her top is already coming off. Sorry. But yeah, I need to sew that down. But yeah, the colors came out pretty nice. I wish I had like shaped her face more, maybe. Maybe I'll do that.
Well, that was before you were really doing
exactly.
that, though.
Exactly. And I have this
tiny little fork.
Her little fork hair accessory that I stuck in her head.
Her dingle hopper.
And she also has the puff stitches. I think this one came out a little nicer because
that one looks really good.
Because I shaped this one was a much later one, so I shaped it a little bit nicer, and then also the puff stitches came out a little bit more consistently, so it's a lot less. There's a lot less gaps in the stitches on this one.
Galaxy says it's because of Ariel that they started dyeing their hair.
Oh, nice. I think the first time I dyed my hair was red, but it wasn't this shade. It was like auburn or something. But yeah, it might be a similar reason why, though. But yeah, so this is maybe a little too big actually for her, and that might be why
it's slipping around.
So maybe it would be good to actually cut that down, potentially, or even cut the straps off and just replace them all together, or just make her a new top, or just sew it down and be like, whatever, it doesn't matter.
so many options,
so many possibilities. It's probably gonna be the last one, to be honest. This is an old doll.
Sheer convenience.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Too much work for that.
This is an old doll. And I used to have the fork in her hand, but it was like impossible to keep it there, and I had it like rubber banded there, but the rubber bands just kept breaking, so it's in her hair now. I think that works. But yeah, I would really love to remake this doll. I think I still have all of these yarns, so I could probably remake this doll in the new style. That's a cool prospect, and it would be cool to add this little detail to my mermaid tutorial, because it would be cool to remake the mermaid tutorial or to make the doll exactly the same way that I made the tutorial, but then to make a new tutorial with this, and then with a couple of other things that I wanted to add to the designs of some of the mermaids, because I have a couple of other things that I wanted to just like a couple of other design elements that I wanted to add to some mermaids that I think I could just make a little quick tutorial to add onto that project.
You should remake the classic one and then
tail is so small.
And then we should watch the new Little Mermaid, and you should make like one based off of the new Ariel.
Yeah, well, whenever that actually comes out, it hasn't even like I don't think have they even started filming it yet. They just announced the casting for like the main character. I don't really think they've actually like started yet. It's gonna be a while away, but we'll see, because I want to wait until they actually like show like images of like the costume design and everything, like for what the character's actually gonna look like.
Serious.
To like start making the doll. But yeah, I think I might make because I've been meaning to remake my mermaid tutorial. I've been meaning to remake a lot of my old tutorials, just because a lot of the ones that I have on the channel that are still quite popular are like ones that I made before we got the new mic, and before we had the new camera, and before we had this new tripod, and before we lived here, so we had like a lot of background noise and stuff like that. So it was just like just a lot less quality content back then. So it would be really nice to make a lot of my older videos over again with nicer quality audio and nicer video quality as well. Oh, and also on that note, I randomly should bring up that another reason why I wanted to do that with remaking a lot of my older, more popular videos is because I actually recently started making the Patreon versions of the videos have limited ads on them. So if you're on Patreon, there's Patreon versions of the videos that I've been making recently. I don't have all of my videos yet, but hopefully I will eventually when I start to remake all of my old ones.
Right.
But the Patreon versions don't have a music soundtrack on them. They're just purely just my voiceover and just the imagery of the tutorial. And they have just one ad at the end of the video.
Right.
And that's it. So, if you guys are interested in watching my videos with limited ads, then maybe eventually that would be a good thing to check out. I haven't really done that many videos, though, for the Patreon versions yet, so hopefully soon I will have a bunch of my older content available in that format as well, but at the moment, that is not yet a thing. I've only just recently started doing this, so... And with the beginner's tutorials, that's partially what I was doing as well, because some of my older content was stuff like my increasing and decreasing tutorial and like my beginner stitches tutorial and stuff like that. So that was kind of what that was trying to replace to make it easier for me to like just make tutorials and just say, oh, check out this other video that I made before, so I don't have to explain every little detail. So hopefully that'll be a thing that I can get done soon.
Looks like everyone's had their hair red at some point. Except for me. I'm the only one that hasn't dyed my hair yet. And,
yeah, I've heard about...
you've been meaning to dye your hair again.
Yeah, I have. I just haven't gotten any bleach because I cannot dye my hair without bleaching it, obviously. But I've looked at some people's needle felting stuff. I've never gotten into that myself. I literally have no idea how to do any of that. So maybe it's something that I might be able to check out at some point. I know that a lot of people use that for accenting crochet pieces. So I will check that out at some point. Let's look at the next doll. Let me show you guys a couple of... Oh, hey, this one has no top. These are supposed to be finished pieces. Scandalous. Well, she's not finished, so she doesn't exist anymore.
She's just not finished dressing, you know.
She's mostly finished, though. But yeah, I gotta make... Joey demonly wants you to dye your hair.
I've been wanting to do like a streak.
You're the only one here who has not dyed their hair.
I want to get like a green streak eventually.
Succumb to the peer pressure.
Eventually.
Not purple, just green?
Maybe purple. I get green on one side and then purple on the other.
Yeah. Joker colors.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at, I guess, these two. This one first, because this is probably the second one that I made. It's another one that has a bit more of a thick body, but because it's kind of got less of a skinny human body, the thickness of the tail doesn't look as shockingly gigantic comparatively.
Yeah, no, and it looks
and then
like...
also it looks like this is a little bit thicker and this is a little bit smaller at the same time.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks like it flows into each other. It flows a lot more naturally.
Yeah, she just looks like she has a big booty.
Right.
So this one I made with 2 different threads at once. You can see there's some silver thread that's like looped through.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
Yeah, I know. I love how that came out. And I made it with a variegated yarn, so I think that also kind of helps to really bring the whole thing together, kind of. Right. Because it's all just variegated shades of green, and then with the silver throughout, it kind of brings the whole thing together, especially with the silver tail at the bottom. And also I gave her this 2-tone silver hair of like a pewter and platinum mixed together. And I actually made this out of Peyton's metallic yarn, which is almost impossible to find these days. I don't think they make it anymore.
Sadly been discontinued.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been discontinued. Sometimes you can find it, but not at stores. You can find it like on eBay occasionally, sometimes. But the other thing is the reason why this has probably been discontinued is because it is a nightmare to work with. It is the worst yarn of all time. It was kind of better that I braided this than crocheting it or knitting it or doing anything traditionally that you would do with yarn, because this is a nightmare. I did crochet with it, but because I did it with the variegated acrylic, it made it a lot easier to work with. But this was a nightmare. This was terrifying and a nightmare. It came out really, really pretty though. I love.
Yeah, no, it does look really nice.
But
it's very shimmery.
Yeah, it's like a really nice platinum silver. But it's a bit of a nightmare. You can see a bunch of the fibers are kind of like slowly coming off over time in like a couple of spots, and like kind of pilling a little bit. But for the most part it's okay. It just seems like a little bit of it has pilled in a couple of spots. Like right here you can see there's a little bit of pilling happening. But the one that I put with the acrylic seems to be fine though, so that's cool. And the one on her head also seems to be mostly fine, but there is a little bit of pilling that happened. But yeah, it's a nightmare to work with. It wants to split every few seconds. It snags on itself. It's really, really slippery, so it's just hard to like to move it. It makes your hands kind of like sweaty and slippery. It's not fun to touch. There's a lot of things wrong with this yarn, and probably a lot of people did not like it, and I can understand why.
Yeah, so it looks really cool, but there's not much of it around, and for good reason.
Yeah. I have a bunch of it, actually. I have a little stash of Peyton's Metallic left over. I can't use it in tutorials, though, because I can't very well tell you guys to go out and buy it, because you can't really find it.
But on that note, if anyone else knows of a really good metallic yarn or anything like that, please...
It's because like Peyton's,
spread the word.
That's the one thing about Peyton's
like
is that nicest... it was the most beautiful, like, silver metallic yarn that I could find ever. I haven't ever found another really nice metallic since. I've seen a couple online that look like they could be nice, but I haven't actually like been brave enough to order them.
Right.
So yeah. Aw. Ran out of purple yarn. I run out of purples way too easily. I use purple for everything.
Yeah, it's
like my favorite color to use, definitely.
Yeah, it's up there.
And I have a ton of shades of purple
definitely
too.
one of my favorite colors.
My box of purple yarn is like ridiculously overflowing.
I know, that is the most abundant one.
Yeah, well, that one and like neutral, because that's like a bunch of different colors. Right. So let's look at the last old mermaid before the new ones. This one is the trippy one, because I did do a technique on this one that I have not done in the tutorial, and I would like to add this to the tutorial eventually. But yeah, you can see that I made this one with some thread hair, like I have done with certain dolls in the past, but that is a nightmare as well. It's very tangled, and it's easy enough to untangle because it's very smooth. It doesn't like to catch on itself. It's kind of easy to comb it out. But it's just like, it just doesn't look nice, and you have to kind of do it all the time. Like every time you move it, practically, it wants to kind of catch on itself.
Right. So
it's like, it's not a very, it doesn't look natural. It doesn't look like hair. So I would like to recreate something like this that has more of a natural hair-like look. It looks pretty cool though, like just the shimmeriness of it.
Yeah,
like
no,
it's so sparkly.
The overall color palette of this one is cool, just because it's all silvery and shimmery.
She has such a huge forehead. I just realized that. Dang.
She got a big brain.
She does. She's so wise. But yeah, so this one I was kind of trying to make look more like one of those white koi fish.
Yeah, no, I like the little side fins.
So I did give her these little side fins, and this is not something that I did in the mermaid tutorial. So this is something that I have considered just making a one-off little addendum to the tutorial with.
Yeah,
to just
right. It's like, hey, stick
onto the playlist at the end, just because it's like optional. I have a male merman, I guess I should say, body that's kind of hanging out waiting to become finished, that I was thinking of making look like a kind of like a shark aesthetic, and I think I might use that in that tutorial maybe, because I might like give him some fins on like some smaller ones on the side and then maybe a larger one, you know what I mean, to make him kind of have more of that sharky type of aesthetic. So maybe I'll make a tutorial of that, and then I can have like a merman tutorial as well, and that might be fun. Yeah, I think orange is actually what I have the least of. I think I literally have like what 4 skeins of orange.
There's not much nuance out there,
and most of them are coral. Like they're not
orange.
actually even orange. They're more pink than orange. So they just fit better in the orange box.
But
yeah, there's too many things
either
in the pink
like
box
that neon
orange
or like that rusty orange, or like carrot.
Although I do love a good clay orange, you know, like a nice like red or a nice persimmons.
There should be like a orange, like creamsicle orange, like a pale orange,
like a watered down or a milked down orange. And this shirt is also made of Peyton's metallic. I never remembered how I made any of these shirts that I made early on for these dolls.
Right. You're just coming up with stuff as you're going along.
It looks like it's mostly just like random double crochets and like maybe some like chains to make ruffles. I don't know. I don't know what I did. It looks cute though. I wish I remembered how I made this shirt for a doll because that's really nice.
Demonly likes the fins.
Thanks, Demonly. Yeah, I think I should make a one-off tutorial for something like this.
Right, yeah. And even just like different styles of like tails and stuff like that would be trippy.
Yeah, because I think that there would be different ways to shape the tails and also the body as well, because I've also toyed with the idea of just making the body like extra long and like maybe trying to give it like more of like an eel shaped fin or something like that.
It's cool the idea of basing mermaids off of like specific types of fish.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I think this one came out so interesting is because I was trying to make it look like a koi, like a specific type of koi.
Right.
And I actually did like do a whole lot of research on koi. I don't remember what specifically the name of this type of koi was, but it was a very particular type that I want. It's the one that has the red dot on its head. I was actually going to give her a necklace with a big shiny red bead on it. But I just never got around to making her necklace.
That's why you gave her the big forehead, man. You just got to stick a red dot.
Yeah, no, I could just stick a big red dot on her forehead too. That is another option. I don't think I was sure which way I wanted to do it, and that's maybe why I was on the fence about giving her the necklace, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to give her the necklace to be the red dot or if I wanted to actually put it on her forehead.
Give her both.
I mean, if I gave her both, I feel like that would imply like she had 2 red dots. I don't know if I want to do that because they're just supposed to have the one. Right. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. So she's pretty much done right now. She's just a white koi, but I did want her to have the red dot.
So she got a necklace made to accentuate the red dot.
Well, I mean, no, that's fair because I mean the necklace isn't going to be a part of her body. It's just an accessory. So maybe that would be cool. I don't know. I'm undecided, but we'll see. And I did give her those gray, soulful eyes to make her look like sad, but to also kind of go with the silver color palette.
No, I like that, and I like the little silver eyebrows too.
Yeah, I know. I hardly ever give eyebrows to my dolls, but because she had such a huge forehead, she really needed them.
Right. Otherwise, like something's definitely got to go there.
Yeah. I think I will maybe give her the red dot though, maybe eventually. But this one I think is pretty cute. I do like this one, even though it's my older style.
Yeah, no, I think
it came out a little neater
to play around with like tail and body type styles based off of different styles of fish.
I would love to make like some whale and dolphin girls and some jellyfish girls and tentacle girls.
Make an orca. Like a killer whale girl.
Like a manatee girl. That's so cute.
That would be cool.
So cute. I just want to draw all of these things. Excuse me, sorry. I should have shut off the mic for a moment.
It's a Tancho butterfly koi. I'm gonna have to look that up. Because I know there's a lot of really beautiful koi fish out there. Is that the one that has the red dot that I was talking about? I don't remember what it was called. Yeah. But that might be it. I don't know. Oh yeah, you should show off the necklace on.
Oh yeah, did I not show this one's necklace? Yeah, actually it's funny. This actually used to be a necklace that I had, but I think it somehow broke at some point, so it's just all of the beads spilled about everywhere. And I still have a ton of these beads left over because it was like a full necklace. So I figured I might as well give it to her because she's just so green. The way that she looks on this camera, she's so much more orange than she is in real life, right? Like the color of her skin is so orange. It's not really that orange. This is warm brown from Red Heart. I don't know if you guys have experienced this yarn, but it's like not this orange in real life. It's a little bit like, it's less saturated for sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Nice. So now just a couple of the other ones are over here. So this one isn't 100% finished. This is actually the middle mermaid that I was making when I was experimenting with different ways of doing this. This one is kind of sort of like a crocodile stitch a little bit. It isn't though. It's like a reversed crocodile stitch. Right. So I worked it from the top to the bottom instead of from the bottom to the top, which is how you usually work a crocodile stitch. You usually work it to where the scales, you're working from the top of the scale down to the base instead of from the base to the top.
Right.
So it's kind of similar look to a crocodile stitch, but it isn't one. And it has more of like a pointy kind of shape to the scales. It's a bit hard to see just because of how shimmery shiny it is.
I know, right?
Again, Peyton's Metallic.
Yeah, because this is another of the Peyton's Metallic.
Random piece of paper. But yeah, you can see how much this yarn pills over time, though. It's a little bit annoying, but right. Yeah. So this one was something that I was experimenting with when I was trying to find a way of making the scales look more 3D. And I was trying to experiment with doing like a crocodile stitch type of aesthetic, but I just didn't really like how gigantic the scales looked doing that type of technique.
Right.
So I ended up not going with this style. But I do think it looks cute. It just isn't really what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then also it does use a lot of yarn too, just because of how, as you can see underneath here, right. I have some dark purple yarn. And I did do that with my other dolls, but just because of the way that I did the outer layer, the scales don't use up as much yarn, so it's not as much.
Right.
And this one, I was going to do the same thing that I did to the other mermaid that I already showed you with the braids. I was going to give her a set of braids as well that was very similar color palette to that one, except with a little bit more purple than pink. So that they were kind of like a similar aesthetic of doll.
Instead, she's just wearing a diving cap.
Yeah, right now she just looks like she's wearing a diving cap.
Yeah, she could be a synchronized swimmer.
So yeah, I think I was going to make her hair mostly rose pink and orchid purple. Like a nice light, like lavender and rose pink. With maybe a couple of little violet, like, splashes every once in a while. So yes. Kind of the same color palette as the braids that I made for this doll, except without the gray, I guess.
Right.
With just the purples and the pinks. And maybe a little bit more pink because of the base of the pink being for the wig cap. Okay.
Nice.
So I have one more, or no, there's two more.
Two more.
That's right. Okay, so
this one's got some cool colors.
This one's trippy.
Or at least the hair's got some awesome colors.
The hair's got some trippy colors. So this doll, I think I showed you guys way back when I did my doll wigs, or not my doll wig series, my doll hair curling series. Because this is the way that I used to curl the doll's hair, where I would wrap it around a stick and curl it that way. And you can actually see on some of these strands, there's a little bit of the color like washed out right there. There's a little bit of bleaching that happened because of the yarn getting a little overheated in the oven, the way that I used to make it. So it did wash out the color and bleach it in a couple of spots, especially on these lighter colors, like this lavender here.
Right.
Made it look a little more gray in a couple of spots. But for the most part, it came out okay. But the method that I use now to curl hair, it just looks better because it's more realistic looking. But then also it is a lot more easy on the hair, I guess. It makes it a lot less likely to bleach that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one I used some lavender, some violet, bright red, and royal blue. And I do think that, like, I was kind of expecting it to be a bit much, but I kind of like the way that the hair came out on this one a lot. And I kind of tried to make this bra piece look kind of like a coral of some kind, but it's not really very clear what it is, maybe exactly. Just stick some tropical looking fish all over it, like embroider them on, and then it'll look like there's put an ecosystem on her boobs.
And Demon says they love the curly hair dolls. Yeah, the curly hair is
one of my favorite things to do on a doll. I like the way that I do the curly hair now, ringlets. But it is nice seeing how long it's cool how long you can get the hair when you're doing this technique, because the way that I have been doing hair recently, it's a lot harder to get it to maintain length. So it is nice when it's able to do that and be like super, super long.
Right.
And this one, I think I really, really nailed going from the body to the tail. Like, this is the first one where the shape from the body to the tail size is pretty much perfect. Like, it's almost exactly the same size going straight from the tail to the body. Not quite, because, I mean, I did want her to have a little butt. But, I mean, I think I pretty much figured out at that point, like, how much bigger I had to make the body than the tail. Or the tail than the body. Yeah, I think that the boiling water method doesn't really work as well on its own. You kind of need to apply. I think you really need to apply like heat a little more directly to get it to really like to hold set the hair. Yeah. And that's why I do like what I've been doing lately with the straightener method. But a lot of the time, I think that if you use like a metal rod, it works a little better to do the boiling technique. If you use like a knitting needle instead of like a dowel or something, then a lot of the time, then the knitting needle will get heated up by the process of you pouring the boiling water on. Yeah. And then it conducts the heat a lot better. And then as it's cooling down, then it'll kind of set from the other side as well a little bit, instead of it just being just from the boiling water. But like, that's just that's also something that just generally helps with making hair curls. It does help to have the rod that you're curling it around being made of metal, right? Because then it does heat up a little bit better. And yeah, it does tend to get like a little bit more frizzy. I do like doing it more like this way in the oven for this look. It does work a little bit better to do it in the oven. Yeah. Unfortunately, it does have the potential to bleach, though. Yeah. Especially if you're using lighter colors.
Catch on fire.
It would have to be in there for a while to catch on fire.
I'm sure it would. Yeah.
But yeah, so this one was the first one that I did really, really well with the tail. And you can see underneath these densely packed scales that I made, there's actually some red, just plain acrylic yarn, because I didn't want to use my fancy scale color.
Yeah, if it's gonna be hidden,
I probably should have used a darker shade of yarn, to be honest. No, like a darker, more brownish red maybe would have been a nicer choice, but it's fine. It looks fine. Yeah. But yeah, the Peyton's Metallic, the other reason why I did that is because the Peyton's Metallic actually has a hard time not showing a bunch of fluff through, and the acrylic yarn has a lot easier time hiding the fluff. So I did like using the Peyton's for the scale layer on the outside and just using the plain acrylic yarn on the under layer. Unfortunately, I did have a little bit of the foundation showing here at the end, but I think it's fine, probably, right? Still looks okay.
Lex says never dared to set straighteners on it because they only have access to cheap acrylic.
I've been using cheap acrylic with my straighteners too. The key is really just using a really low temperature. I think it's more important that you have a not cheap straightener than not having cheap acrylic, to be honest.
So that way you're able to get that really low temperature.
Yeah, because exactly. The straightener that I have has like the capability of going really, really low and really, really high. So it's just a nicer straightener. But if you get a straightener that's just that just has the capability of going to a pretty low temperature, it will be a little bit less scary and a little easier on the yarn. But I do think that it is actually easier on the yarn to do that than to set it in the oven, because the oven tends to kind of fry it out a little bit.
It's one of those things where you just kind of have to do a couple experiments with it, and you just play around with it and see what kind of curls you're able to get with what heats, and be careful, don't burn yourself.
Yeah, seriously. Because
it is easy to burn yourself.
I have one more mermaid to show you guys, and this one is actually my favorite, so I saved her for last. She has this gorgeous watercolor Monet hair that I made out of that
pastel mix.
That variegated pastel yarn that I love from Red Heart. I'm pretty sure that one is watercolor. I don't think that one is Monet. I think Monet is the lighter color one. Although there might be a couple of strands of Monet mixed into this, just because I like both of them and they go together really well. So she has this gorgeous watercolor hair that's twisted all up to poof out at the top of her head.
It's cute.
She's so cute. I love her. I made her shirt out of this shell stitch, so that it would look like shells. I was kind of trying to make it look like armor, actually. So I think it kind of came out pretty cool. Totally. Like, I think it has that aesthetic kind of. I was thinking, because I didn't really quite get around to adding accessories to this doll. I was thinking of maybe eventually, like, maybe draping some like little brass chains from around the base to kind of give it more of a armor aesthetic, and also to match with her brass tail. And again, this one is Red Heart at the base, just regular brown Red Heart yarn with the Peyton's metallic scales on top. They're great for quick. I've been using my straightener to iron hems and stuff. Yeah, it's like way easier than digging out the iron, and I hate ironing so much. And I have to make all this clothes, and now I have to iron all this stuff. What did I get myself into?
I know, right? It's like, oh yeah, that's part of it. Oh.
Yeah, it's funny because you're like, I love making clothes. I love it. It's going to be so fun. Let's do that. And then it's like, oh wait, I have to do all of this stuff first. But like, yeah, no, it's fine.
Oh, demonly recognize it's Monet.
Is it Monet? Yeah, I always get those two confused. Watercolor and Monet are like, they're too similar. They're both too similar. I watercolor feel like aesthetic colors, and I think there's one other one. I think it's called Wildflower, maybe. Right. But they all have this similar pastel watercolor aesthetic.
I feel like
and I do confuse them sometimes.
Deeper greens and
this looks a little funny with her Monet. With her laying back because her curls are kind of pushing back a little bit. So let me push them forward so you can have more of an idea of what she actually looks like, because the curls do kind of like balance on top of her head when she's
right
upright instead of laying back.
So laying it like this.
So it kind of looks more like that instead of like that. Here, let me show you guys the back of what her hair looks like. It's got this little twist. I think I have some bobby pins in there holding it in place. Yeah, there's one. And I think I might have, when I was making her, run out of yarn of one color, and I think one of her arms might be a slightly different shade of brown than the rest of her, but I don't think it's noticeable, right?
Definitely not on camera.
Definitely not on camera. I can't remember which one it is that isn't the right arm, though, so...
I might be able to tell if I look that hard enough, but...
Yeah. But yeah, I really like how this little armor piece came out. I like the little shells at the boobs. They look cute. But I would really like to just maybe add some chains. I think I have maybe a random brass chain in my jewelry drawer that I might add to this. Maybe another little chain at the pauldrons, just to like have there be like a little drape going from here across the arm to here on both sides.
Yeah.
And I think that would pretty much, and then she's pretty much done. Maybe I'll add like a little nose and some eyebrows, because she also has a giant forehead. I think she looks really cute with a giant forehead, though, actually.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I think that she's like, I just love the shape of her face. I think it makes her kind of look more like a little girl, a little bit, kind of. Like, it kind of gives her, like, a younger, like, teenager or, like, preteen aesthetic for her to have, like, it's like she hasn't quite grown into her forehead yet. But yeah, I think she's pretty cute. She's one of my favorite mermaids that I've made so far, actually. And I was thinking of maybe making her, like, a little spear or something.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because I made her little armor, so I was thinking of maybe making her, like, a little, like, mermaid guard in training or something, like. But yeah, I love her. She's so cute. I need to give her some eyebrows, though, seriously. So yeah, that's the last mermaid we have to show you guys.
That was all of them. Got our whole fleet of mermaids.
Yeah, I might have other ones that are somewhere, but I'm pretty sure this is all the ones that I still have. I think. I'm pretty sure.
That are finished?
That are finished, yeah. I don't even think I have any other unfinished ones besides these, actually. I think I kind of more...
Their mermaid craze...
I think I finished with most of my mermaids.
Their mermaid craze happened long enough ago that all of them got finished.
Well, I started making the fairies, and I think I kind of... There was so much that went into that it, like...
Centaurs.
And the cat girls. Or the cat and bunny girl. There's a lot. So yeah, we have all of our mermaids here that hopefully eventually will be... finished enough that I can do something with them. I don't know. I think I used to have some of these listed on Etsy, but they didn't sell, so I just have them now. Some of the older ones.
Yeah, we might open it up again at some point.
Yeah, I just
to sell a bunch of these off would probably be good.
Yeah, maybe eventually. I just think I started working on other things, and I just didn't really finish all of the ones that I had. But yeah, I think all of them are pretty much done now, except for this one, which needs braids, and then I guess she needs a little bit of chains on her vest. So
right.
And apart from
little
that,
minor finishing touches, but yeah.
And then maybe I will give her a gem on her forehead for her for the red dot or whatever. So yeah. Okay. That's all of our mermaids.
7 mermaids, enough for a 7-part harmony.
I know, right? So yeah, that's all that we have to show for today. This is kind of been a long stream, so I don't think we should get to any more stuff.
Just mermaids
today.
Thank you guys so much for interacting in the chat. Zemanley, Galaxia, you guys are awesome.
Oh, as always.
Yeah. Anyone else, if you leave anything in the comments, thank you so much for interacting. And thanks for joining us on the stream or in the archives, however you're watching us.
I think that is it for us for this week. We're going to come back on Wednesday because we'll have a few things to... I already have a few things that I have been working on. I might show you some of the things that I've been working on for, as far as sewing projects that I've been working on, since I haven't purely been working on crochet lately. So that will be a little bit different than usual. But I do have a couple of crochet things to show you guys. And I've been making some more progress on my traditional doll that I've been working on.
Nice.
So, we'll see you guys next week on Wednesday, and then there'll be our couple of weeks off potentially.
Yeah, we'll bring that up again.
Yeah, so we'll talk to you guys about that next time.
Everyone have a great weekend, and
see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.